One, I got to correct something. I don't, because it's my pet peeve. I don't think you're a bigger fan of Jalen Hurts than I am. In fact, I'm a big fan of Jalen Hurts, the person.
What
But
did you
you
say? What
think
did you hold on? What did you say when the
no?
Eagles? What did you say when the Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round last year?
I said it was a bad pick. I
Oh,
had
okay.
nothing.
I didn't. So that's let me go through the 32. Then we'll go back. We certainly want to go Eagles specific on it, but there are some teams that surprise me with how high they are, how low they are. Everybody's got their own opinions of how the teams look at this stage of the season. So I want to get yours, Johnny Mac, on all the teams, including where the Eagles sit. He's got Kansas City and Tampa as the top two teams, which he noted in the entire history of the Super Bowl, since it's been the AFL against the NFL. There has only been one repeat Super Bowl, and that was 2 straight years, the Dallas Cowboys against the Buffalo Bills. Sorry about that, Bills fans. The Cowboys won both of those games. But it's the only time we've seen both teams get back to the Super Bowl after playing each other year before. And he said those are the two top teams, one AFC, one NFC. So that looks like the matchup for him right now, and I don't really disagree with him there. He's got 2 more AFC teams thereafter, Buffalo and Cleveland. The highest Cleveland's been in a long time, at 3 and 4. San Francisco at 5. That's way too high for me. Rams at 6, new quarterback, Matthew Stafford. At 7, I forget who he's got at 7. I wrote Rams. It can't be the Rams. Baltimore. Ravens, that's what it says. It doesn't say Rams. What can I tell you? I don't have my glasses on. Ravens at 7. Packers at 8. That's if Aaron Rodgers stays. Chargers, Miami. The Saints.
I got Indianapolis at 9, Joe.
Oh, who I skipped over? My bad. I skipped over
Carson Wentz's Colts. That's important.
Oh, and I do want to get to that. Seattle at 12, Saints at 13. I think they can take an even further tumble. 13 is down from where we usually think of the Saints, but I think they can fall even more precipitously than that without Drew Brees. Cardinals, the WFT, first team out of the NFC least. He has the Redskins in the top half of the league at 15. The improving Bears at 16. The Patriots only at 17. Tennessee falling 18. Steelers 19 falling. Giants at 20. There's your second AFC, NFC least team. And the Cowboys right behind them at 21. Falcons 22. Vegas 23. You do realize I haven't gotten to the Eagles yet, right? And we're 23 teams deep. 24 would be the Vikings. 25 would be the Broncos. 26, Matt Rule and his Carolina Panthers. 27, the Cincinnati Bengals. And coming in at 28, with only 4 teams behind them for this upcoming season, your Philadelphia Eagles, rounding it out. Jacksonville, Detroit, the Jets, and the Texans. Eagles at 28th. And I did the quick math, Johnny Mac. Eagles had the 6th pick in the draft this year. We know they traded down, then traded back up. But if this standings were to finish exactly as Peter King laid it out, the Eagles would have the 5th pick in the draft, which means they're going to be even worse this year than they were last year.
Yeah.
Didn't you and I just go through this last week and say, hey, 8 and 9 is a possibility for this team? 8 and 9 isn't going to have you with the 5th worst record in the National Football League, is it?
Well, I think there's 2 things here, Jody. We had Alex Marvez on last week, and we got sort of a national perspective. Now you see it from Peter. Nationally, nothing is expected from this team. Nothing. I mean, it's consistent. You look at the Vegas over-under odds, they're 6.5, whatever you can get. Nobody expects this team to do anything. I think locally, people think, obviously fans, but I'm not even talking about fans. A lot of media people, I include myself, you had them at 8 wins. I think they're being a little over dramatic into how bad this team is. And more than the transition, I think nationally the big transition with the coach and the quarterback is what everybody lynches everything on. I think locally we know what happened to this team last year, and it was about injuries on the offensive line more than anything else. Now, I always say this is a big if. This is a big if. But if Brandon Brooks and Lane Johnson are out there, Jason Kelsey manages to play 16 games like he always does. Isaac Seumalo, who's ever at left tackle, as Ross Tucker said last week as well, we had him on. That's a top 10 offensive line all day. That's a top 10 offensive line all day. So if those guys are out there, they're going to win more than national people expect. But I don't think national people are paying attention to the offensive line, to be honest. They're looking at the coach and the quarterback. That's it. And the coach and the quarterback look bad from an outside perspective. Got to be honest about that. You know what? The most interesting thing Peter wrote, and this is something we've gotten over locally, but every once in a while it slaps me in the face. And he said the biggest surprise in the entire NFL, the most surprising thing that happened last year, more than Tom Brady at 43 taking the Bucs to the Super Bowl, was that Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts are here and Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz aren't. That is in the entire league. And that's what everybody's hanging their hat on. That's it. It doesn't go past that. So I think it's going to be better than people expect because I don't think Nick Sirianni is completely clueless. I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to fall flat on his face. But I do understand the national perspective and the fact that it looks like a disaster. As you get closer, you at least see some of the thought process behind it. And you at least see to some of the things that contributed to the horrible 2020 season that probably aren't going to happen again. Just from an odds perspective, just from a luck perspective, you know, they set a record for offensive line combinations in 16 games, Jody. What are the odds they're going to reach that record or set another record? It's not going to happen.
Right.
So I think you kind of regress back to the mean at least a little bit. By no means am I trying to say this is a great team. It's not a great team. I don't think it's going to be a playoff team, but I do think they're going to be better than people expect, especially nationally.
Here's a couple of things that you touched on that I think we need to clarify a little bit. The return of the Eagles' offensive line as a potential, and I think you absolutely have to put the word potential in there.
Oh, yeah.
Top 10 offensive line in the NFL. Brandon Brooks and Lane Johnson are major parts of that. Brooks misses the entire year, and Lane Johnson missed a lot of the year. And when he played, I don't think he played at near 100%. So I think it's fair when you're trying to project how that offensive line is going to be able to play this year in this upcoming season in 2021 to turn back the clock to 2019. I don't think you can turn it back to 2017
no.
because you're going 4 years back, and that's 4 more years of age added to each of those players, neither of which is 23 years old or was even 23 years old in 2017. So here's what you have to try and project in your own mind when evaluating this Eagles upcoming line. Can Brandon Brooks and Lane Johnson come back at their 2019 form? If they do, then I think this is a team that's got a chance to have a top 10 offensive line. I don't know if that's possible. I know what they look like in 2017, 18, starting to come back to the pack a little bit in 2019, 2020, a lost year, certainly for Brandon Brooks. For the most part, Lane Johnson. Well, what level of play are you getting Lane Johnson and Brandon Brooks at for 2021? I don't think any of us know. We can project, we can guess, we can guesstimate, but I think we need to see it with our own eyes before we project it. I think it's certainly going to be better than last year. As you pointed out, they were moving guys in and out, week in, week out. Some have actually flashed a little capability, which gives you hope that if there are injuries again this year, the guys stepping in might be a little better for it because they'll be a little bit more battle tested and give them their props for advancing the way they did. I got to know what Brandon Brooks and what Lane Johnson, what level those two guys are at. It'll certainly be better than last year, but for the Eagles to be And maybe you and I are both optimistic because we're calling for 8-9. We're looking at those two guys being on the field, staying healthy, and playing at a close to level of 2019.
Well,
Here,
let me jump in real quick, Jody. You're right. That's why I say it's a very big if, because these are aging players with significant injury histories. That usually doesn't clear itself up completely. And that's why I bring up the fact that, hey, sometimes you just get luckier more than 1 year more than another, and it's unlikely a back-to-back season. Or Lane Johnson, at the height of their games, Lane Johnson was the best right tackle in football. Brandon Brooks was the best right guard in football. Are they going to be that? Probably not. But are they going to be better than what they trotted out there last year? Yeah, damn right they are. And if they're top 10 or even top 15, top half of the league, that is a huge advantage for Jalen Hurts versus Carson Wentz last season. But I agree with you. I mean, there's nothing you can guarantee. And if they have a bad offensive line again, it could be worse. It could be worse because you have less experience at the quarterback position, less experience at the coaching position. I'm just playing the odds here, Jody. It's hard for me to believe it's going to be as bad on the offensive line as last season.
And here's where I think some optimism does come in, at least for me. And you can address this because you too thought the Eagles might be able to get to 8 wins next year. I'm a bigger Jalen Hurts fan than you are. Don't know if he's going to be Eagles quarterback for the next 10 years, but I know he's going to be their quarterback this year, and I think it's at least a 50-50 chance it'll be their quarterback in 2022. I like the kid. I like what he flashed with last year. I like the way he's handled his business this offseason. So first things first, you got to evaluate Jalen Hurts. Then you need to compare that to what the Eagles got as far as quarterback play was last year. And part of that is Jalen Hurts because he started 4 of the games. And I will weigh that into my evaluation of the Eagle quarterback play from 2020. I'll cut him some slack, Jalen Hurts, that is, because he was a rookie. And just because of that experience and a year more growth and being the man during this offseason and getting those number 1 reps in practice leading up to the season, I think has to mark improvement in those games. So it's Jalen Hurts 2021 as compared to what Carson Wentz was 3/4 of the season last year. To let me pick a word to describe it, horrific. That's how bad Carson Wentz was. So can Jalen, and we've been debating for 6 months now, how the hell did this all happen? But it happened, and we know it happened. We watched it happen. We can break down the numbers to note how horrific it was. Can Jalen Hurts be better than that? Well, I damn well hope so, because if not, he's the worst quarterback in the National Football League. Because, oh, by the way, yes, that's what Carson Wentz was last year, the worst quarterback in the National Football League. So I certainly believe the Eagles can be better this year. Now, is Jalen Hurts going to jump up into the top half of NFL quarterbacks? I don't know about that. Top 2/3 of NFL quarterbacks, maybe. If he's down in the bottom third, well, then the Eagles are going to be nearly as bad a team as they were last year. But I've got to give Jalen Hurts the benefit of the doubt that he can be better in 2021 than the quarterback combination of Carson Wentz 3/4, Jalen Hurts 1/4 were in 2020.
Well, I think the same sentiment. One, I got to correct something. I don't, because it's my pet peeve. I don't think you're a bigger fan of Jalen Hurts than I am. In fact, I'm a big fan of Jalen Hurts, the person.
What did you say? Hold on. What did you say when the Eagles? What did you say when the Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round last year?
I said it was a bad pick.
Oh, okay. I didn't. So that's where I can absolutely sit here and look you in the eye and tell you, John McClain, I'm a bigger Jalen Hurts fan than you are. One of the two of us liked when he was added to the Eagles. The other one didn't. So I
wish it was John McClain, but I can look you in the eye and say you're not listening to the context. I thought it was a bad pick because of the Eagles' mentality behind it, not because of the player. The second part of that is you think he has a higher ceiling as a player than I do. You think he has a better skill set as a player than I do. That's different. That's different from liking a kid, wanting him to succeed. I always pride myself on telling the truth. I don't think he has a high-level ceiling as an NFL quarterback. I've said that very consistently. I haven't come off that path. That's where you and I disagree. It's not about fandom or not fandom. So that's my only point. But the second thing is, yes, from the odds perspective, same thing with the offensive line. It's hard to imagine back-to-back seasons with that poor quarterback play. So just going from a common sense standpoint of the pendulum theory where things kind of go back and forth, they're going to get better play at the quarterback position. And part of it is because of the supporting cast. Part of it is because I think the offensive line is going to be better. Part of it is because I think the skill position guys are going to be better with the not only the addition of Devontae Smith, but also I think Miles Sanders is, really on top of it and understands. He spoke to us last week. You rarely hear players admitting, yeah, I wasn't real good at pass protection or catching the football. He understands that. So that to me is really, really positive because he knows he's got to get back in the groove. Maybe he had some of that rookie success and took it for granted. I don't know what happened, but he regressed really badly in those two aspects of the game. I think it's really positive that he understands that, realizes it, and needs to work on it. So I think he's going to be better. I mentioned Devontae Smith. I think Dallas Goedert is going to be better, getting more snaps. And then, Zach Ertz had his worst season. So I think it's going to be better at tight end overall. So all this contributes to the quarterback play. And yeah, I think it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be vastly better. I don't think it's going to be top half of the league. And that's kind of where we are, Jody. Is it going to be 15-20 or is it going to be 25-32? Is it going to be Pro Football Focus? Is he going to be the 31st best quarterback? If he's the 31st best quarterback, the Eagles are in trouble. If he's 15-20, they're going to be better than people think.
Agreed. And if I did not make my point understandable enough, I apologize. Then let me restate it.
Well, that's
correctly.
more for the fans, who all say McMullen's taking shots at Jalen Hurts. No, I root for the kid. I say consistently, he does everything possible as far as intangibles. I wrote it on phillyvoice.com. I'm also realistic. He's not Trevor Lawrence. He's not Justin Fields. He doesn't have that top tier skill set. He just doesn't. There's a reason. People have overcome it. I've given you the examples. Odds are against it. I think you got to be real. I'm talking about odds a lot. Odds are with the Eagles that they'll have a better offensive line, better quarterback play. Odds are against Jalen Hurts that he's the next Russell Wilson or Tom Brady or Joe Montana. Got to be realistic about that.
Okay. I realistically think he could be the next Russell Wilson, who was drafted in the third round as compared to when Jalen Hurts was drafted was the second round. I'm saying I like Jalen Hurts better as a player, as a and
Russell Wilson?
Potential. What? I'll try this again. I like Jalen Hurts better as a player and a producer on the field than John McMullen does.
I agree.
That's what I said previously. I thought I said it. If it didn't come across that way and or you didn't understand it, then I apologize. And let me be more specific about it. I think he's going to be a better player than you do. Than what you think his upside is, his ceiling is. I think he's going to be a better player than that. That's what I meant when I said I like Jalen Hurts more than you do. I wasn't talking about work ethic. I wasn't talking about dedication. I wasn't talking about attitude. I was talking about actual production on the football field. I think he's got a chance to be a top half of the quarterback in the National Football League. Now, I don't think he's going to be as good as Russell Wilson because Russell Wilson's a top 5 quarterback. And I don't know that Jalen Hurts will ever reach those kind of levels. But one thing I'll say for sure, and I'm about 98% confident on this, he's going to be better than what the Eagles were at quarterback last year. That includes himself for the 4 games he started and should have never been lifted in that last game against the Washington football team and the 16 games that Carson Wentz started. He will be better. He will produce more. The Eagles will get more out of their quarterback position this year with Jalen Hurts at the helm than they did last year. It's not going to take a whole hell of a lot to do that since they were the worst quarterback team in the National Football League. I'm not setting the real bar real high for Jalen Hurts by saying he'll be better than what they were last year, but I do believe that he will improve them. And I like the way you broke it down in that if he's somewhere between 15 and 20, then there's a massive increase in production. If he's between 20 and 25, that's pretty darn good and is headed in the right direction. If he's only between 25 and 32, yeah, the Eagles are in for another long season again. They might win 5 games with an extra game added on. It's not going to be a massive improvement in the team.
I got news for you, Jody. If he's 31, like Pro Football Focus says, that's better than Carson Wentz because he was the worst starting quarterback in the NFL. But 31 isn't good enough. So He is going to be better. It's a question of how much better. And nationally, and that's where we started this whole thing, nationally, nobody believes in this team. Nobody. Consistently, nobody believes in this team. And it has to do with the head coach and the quarterback. And I think it's a little bit unfair on both parts of that equation.
And at least as per Peter King's, and we're hoping to hear from Jose Liquido. He's scheduled to join us coming up here in a couple of minutes on Birds 365. Maybe it was a Freudian slip on my part. I wrote down Peter King's top 32 rankings, 1 through 32. And I lost where did he have the Colts again?
Number 9.
Number 9, which means he thinks Carson Wentz is going to be able to do the job and have that bounce back year. I don't know that that's going to be the case. That's one of the things we will talk about with our next guest. First guest of the day, first guest of the week. Joe Santoliquido, contributor for PhillyVoice.com, going to hop aboard with Mac and Mac right here on Birds.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.